The alien base buzzed with activity as the human rookie stepped off the shuttle. Lieutenant Ryan Carter adjusted his standard-issue gear, his lean frame dwarfed by the towering figures of his new squadmates. Around him, members of the Zevak Legion, a collection of alien warriors from across the galaxy, turned their gazes toward him. Their expressions ranged from amusement to outright disdain. "That's the human," a guttural voice rumbled. Sargon, the massive reptilian commander, stood with his arms crossed, a smirk revealing rows of sharp teeth. "I've seen prey with thicker hides." Vila, the insectoid sniper with razor-sharp mandibles, clicked in agreement. "Soft-skinned and slow. What could this species possibly offer?" Carter ignored the comments, his face neutral. He scanned the room, taking in the advanced technology, the holographic displays of battlefield layouts, and the weapons racks that lined the walls. His eyes lingered on the squad as they moved about, their natural abilities on full display. Sargon's brute strength crushed a training dummy in one hand, while Vila demonstrated precision by skewering a moving target from across the room. Others used telepathy to coordinate movements, their synchronization flawless. "Don't mind the chatter," a smaller alien said, sidling up to Carter. "I'm Ralvek, logistics officer. They always haze the new recruits, especially ones that look like you." Carter gave a faint smile. "Noted." The sound of laughter erupted as Vila approached, his mandibles clicking in mockery. "Let me guess, human. You think your species' ingenuity will carry you through? Or perhaps you've mastered the art of running away?" "Something like that," Carter replied evenly, his tone giving nothing away. "Enough," Sargon barked, though his grin suggested he was enjoying the spectacle. "Let's see what this human can do. There's a combat simulation in 30 minutes. If you're not useless, rookie, now's the time to prove it." As the aliens dispersed, Carter took a seat in the corner, pulling out a small datapad. He reviewed the squad's recent simulation scores, noting patterns in their performance. Despite their mockery, he remained calm, his focus unwavering. His fingers tapped the screen, marking observations. "Strange one, isn't he?" Vila muttered to Sargon from across the room. Not a flicker of fear. "Overconfidence," Sargon growled. "He'll break the moment things get real." Unbeknownst to them, Carter's calm wasn't born of overconfidence. It was preparation. From his seat, he silently observed the aliens' drills. Their abilities were impressive, but their over-reliance on raw strength and specialization left gaps he could exploit. When the alert sounded for the simulation, Carter rose, tightening his gloves. The squad gathered near the drop zone, their laughter echoing in the high-ceilinged chamber. "Good luck, rookie," Vila sneered. "Try not to embarrass yourself too much." Carter gave a single nod, his expression unreadable. As the simulation doors opened, revealing the jungle-like battlefield beyond, he stepped forward without hesitation. The aliens followed, their laughter fading as they prepared for what they assumed would be a routine exercise. Carter's eyes narrowed as he took in the terrain. "Let's begin." The simulated battlefield stretched out before them, a dense jungle filled with towering alien flora, thick vines, and glowing pools of unknown liquid. Above, robotic drones patrolled the skies, their metallic shells gleaming as they scanned for intruders. The squad spread out instinctively, each alien moving with practiced ease. Carter, however, lingered at the edge, observing. "Move it, rookie," Sargon growled, already tearing through undergrowth with his claws. Vila perched on a high branch, his compound eyes scanning for targets. "Don't fall too far behind, human. We won't be turning back for you." Carter gave no response, stepping cautiously into the jungle. The aliens were quick to showcase their prowess. Vila's sniper rifle let out a sharp crack, taking down a drone mid-flight. Sargon charged into a swarm of smaller bots, his massive frame smashing them into scrap. A telepathic soldier, Liren, directed the group with flawless efficiency, their psychic voice echoing in each member's mind. "Squad, clear the east quadrant." "Drones are regrouping," Liren commanded. Carter moved slower, deliberately lagging behind. His actions seemed erratic, avoiding main paths, circling areas the squad had already cleared. The others sneered at his caution, but Carter's focus never wavered. His eyes darted across the terrain, noting weak points in enemy patrols and natural choke points the squad had overlooked. A sudden explosion rocked the jungle. A trap had been triggered, scattering debris and sending several drones into a frenzy. Vila hissed in irritation, narrowly avoiding a barrage of plasma fire. "Watch where you're stepping, rookie," Vila snapped, assuming Carter was responsible. But Carter was already crouched low, carefully dismantling another trap the squad was about to stumble into. Without a word, he marked the location on his scanner and moved on. More drones descended, forcing the squad into a fierce firefight. Plasma bolts lit up the dark jungle as the aliens fought with precision. Carter, meanwhile, stayed to the periphery, occasionally taking shots with his sidearm but avoiding direct engagement. "Is he even trying?" Vila muttered as he reloaded. Sargon grunted, slamming a drone into a tree. "Dead weight. I told you." Carter remained silent, his movements methodical. As the squad pressed forward, he began to leave subtle marks along their path, carvings in tree trunks, stones moved slightly out of place. It wasn't until the squad encountered a second ambush that Carter's actions became noticeable. When the drones attacked, Carter's marks revealed alternate paths to evade them. Without waiting for orders, he redirected the squad's movements, leading them through the chaos. "What are you doing?" Sargon bellowed, his voice full of annoyance. "Following a better route," Carter replied calmly, his tone unshaken. The aliens begrudgingly followed. As they regrouped in a clearing, Loren's voice cut through the silence. "How did you know where they'd strike?" Carter didn't answer immediately. He simply pointed to the terrain. "Patterns. You just have to look for them." Before anyone could respond, another wave of drones descended, forcing them back into action. But this time, the mocking was quieter. Carter's actions had planted a seed of doubt. The chaos of the simulation reached its peak as the squad found themselves surrounded by a swarm of drones. Plasma fire rained down from all sides, forcing the team into defensive positions. Sargon roared as he charged forward, smashing through the front line, but the drones kept coming. Vila fired rapidly from his perch, his mandibles clicking in frustration as more targets appeared than he could handle. "This is taking too long," Sargon growled, his frustration mounting. "We'll be overwhelmed at this rate." In the midst of the commotion, Carter stepped forward. His movements were no longer hesitant or slow, instead, they carried a sense of precision and purpose. He scanned the battlefield quickly, noting the positioning of both the drones and his squadmates. "We're too spread out," Carter said, his voice calm yet commanding. "You're fighting their numbers head-on, and it's exactly what they're designed for. We need to change the approach." Vila sneered from his vantage point. "And what do you suggest, human?" "That we surrender." Ignoring the jab, Carter stepped toward a cluster of fallen drones. In moments, he had disassembled a few components, improvising a makeshift EMP device. "Cover me," he said, without waiting for permission. Sargon hesitated, his pride warring with the desperate situation. But another wave of drones forced his hand. "Fine. Do whatever you think you can, but don't slow us down." Carter's hands moved with practiced efficiency as he activated the device. A pulse of energy radiated outward, temporarily disabling the nearest drones. Using the brief window of opportunity, he motioned for the squad to regroup. "Vila, take the high ground and cover our retreat. Sargon, you're on defense. We'll funnel them into a choke point." The squad exchanged doubtful glances but followed his instructions. Vila's sniper fire created openings, while Sargon held the line with brute force. Carter led the others through a series of narrow paths he had marked earlier, forcing the drones to funnel into a confined space. As the aliens watched, Carter set another trap, using scavenged materials to collapse part of the terrain. The drones that followed were caught in the collapse, their numbers thinning rapidly. "How did you?" Loren began, her telepathic tone tinged with surprise. "Adaptability," Carter replied, his focus unwavering. "Humans aren't the strongest or the fastest, but we excel at thinking on our feet." The drones adjusted their tactics, splitting into smaller groups to encircle the squad again. But Carter anticipated the move. He coordinated the team with efficiency that rivaled even Loren's telepathic commands, using each alien's unique abilities to maximum effect. Vila's sniping, Sagan's raw strength, and Loren's coordination now worked in harmony under Carter's direction. Within minutes, the swarm was neutralized. The jungle fell silent, save for the heavy breathing of the squad. Sagan stared at Carter, a mix of irritation and reluctant respect in his eyes. "I don't know how you did it, but we'd be scrap without you." Carter merely shrugged. "It's not about strength. It's about using what you have." Vila clicked his mandibles, unable to argue. For the first time, the squad looked at Carter not as a liability but as an equal. The squad descended onto the war-torn planet under the cover of night. The landscape was a grim wasteland of craters, jagged metal wreckage, and the smoldering remains of past battles. In the distance, the enemy base loomed, a fortress of sharp edges and glowing energy fields. The mission was clear: infiltrate, retrieve critical intel, and escape before being detected. Carter took the lead as soon as their boots hit the ground, his scanner already mapping out the terrain. "This area is riddled with patrols and automated turrets," he said, keeping his voice low. "We'll need to bypass their defenses without triggering alarms." Sagan huffed, his massive frame blending poorly with the shadows. "And how exactly do you plan to do that, rookie? Their tech is leagues ahead of yours." Carter didn't break stride. "Simple. They don't expect us to think like this." He motioned for the squad to follow and led them along a winding path through the wreckage, avoiding open areas and sticking to cover. It wasn't long before they encountered their first patrol, a group of towering war droids, their sensors sweeping the area. The squad tensed, ready to engage, but Carter raised a hand. "Wait." He pulled a small device from his pack, a scrambler he had built during the simulation debrief. Activating it, he threw it toward the droids. Their sensors flickered, and within seconds, they were blind to the squad's presence. Carter motioned them forward. Vila clicked his mandibles, his tone grudging. "I hate to admit it, but that was effective." "Save it," Carter replied. "We're not out of this yet." As they neared the fortress, the defenses grew more intense. Turrets scanned every angle, and drones hovered in tight formations. Carter studied the patterns, then pointed to a maintenance hatch partially hidden behind debris. "That's our way in." "Too small for me," Sagan muttered. "You'll cover the exit," Carter replied. "Vila, Loren, you're with me." Inside the fortress, the halls were cold and sterile, illuminated by an unnatural blue light. Carter moved with purpose, his scanner pinpointing the location of the intel. Loren's telepathy helped them avoid patrols, while Vila's sharp eyes spotted hidden traps. When they reached the central chamber, the data core towered above them, protected by an energy field. Vila frowned. "There's no way past that without triggering an alarm." "There is," Carter said, pulling a toolkit from his pack. "Just give me a minute." As Carter worked, the sound of approaching guards echoed down the corridor. Vila readied his weapon, while Loren positioned herself to intercept them. Carter remained focused, his hands moving quickly over the controls. The energy field dropped just as the guards turned the corner. Vila's rifle cracked, taking down the first two, while Loren immobilized the rest with a psychic blast. Carter extracted the intel and secured it in his pack. "Let's move," he said, leading them back the way they came. Outside, Sagan was waiting, holding off a wave of reinforcements. The squad regrouped, pushing through the enemy lines with coordinated precision. Under Carter's direction, they outmaneuvered and outsmarted the enemy, escaping just as reinforcements arrived. Back aboard the starship, the squad was silent for a moment, processing the success of the mission. Finally, Sagan turned to Carter. "You proved me wrong, human. You're more than just a rookie." Carter smirked faintly. "Told you. Humans always find a way."